It's time for Windows Weekly. Paul Thurrott, Mary Jo Foley are here. We will mourn the end of Windows XP and Office 2003 and talk about the future. Windows 8 Update 1. It's out. It's all coming up next on Windows Weekly.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Windows Weekly is provided by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com. This is Windows Weekly with Paul Thurrott and Mary Jo Foley, episode 357, recorded April 9th, 2014. Release the charms! Windows Weekly is brought to you by ShareFile. Enhance your workflow. Send files of almost any size easily and securely with ShareFile from Citrix. Try ShareFile today for a 30-day free trial. Go to sharefile.com, click the microphone, and enter Windows. And by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform that makes it fast and easy to create your own professional website or online portfolio. For a free 2-week trial and 10% off, go to squarespace.com and use the offer code WINDOWS. And by Carbonite. Whether you have one computer at home or several at your small business, Carbonite backs up your files to the cloud automatically and continuously. Plus, access your files anytime, anywhere with a free app. Start your free trial at Carbonite.com. No credit card required. Use the offer code WINDOWS and you'll get 2 bonus months with purchase. It's time for Windows Weekly, the show where we cover the Microsoft news. Alas and alackaday, I'm sad to report with heavy heart that Paul and Mary Jo have returned to their respective domiciles, leaving me heartbroken and alone here in the town of Petaluma.
I was driving out of there and thinking, my God, is this place beautiful?
Come back, Paul.
I think there's a period of time in California where the hills all kind of turn yellow or brown or whatever.
No, that's all the time. This is the brief period of time when they're green.
Okay, I was going to say, because it wasn't this week. I mean, it was beautiful.
It's like Emerald Isle right now.
And you kind of come out of the hills there, and the Golden Gate Bridge is open up before you. It's all sunny and beautiful. There's no fog.
Yeah, no, this is a very rare juncture. Most of the summer, it's brown, and which is also pretty. That's why they call it the Golden State, because it's kind of golden brown. But after the rains in the winter, and for a few months in the spring, we're very green. It is beautiful. We're having lovely weather. It was 80 degrees yesterday.
Wow.
I had better weather there the couple of days I was there than I've had here since last October.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
well, I'm glad you came out. You're always welcome. If you want to move here, nice. We'll arrange rental.
I do want to move there.
Yeah, you used to live in Phoenix. You're not just because you talk like that doesn't mean you have to be in Boston.
Right.
That's where
I'd
Paul
probably get punched in the face more if I wasn't in Massachusetts. But
Paul's a blogger. He runs a super site for Windows, winsupersite.com, an analyst for Penton Media, writes for Windows IT Pro, and of course does all sorts of events and things and seminars. And he's also the author of a great many books, more books than really any one person except Charles Dickens should have ever written.
Right?
His latest Windows 8.1book.com. Windows Phone Music Book? What is it?
Xbox Music.
XboxMusicBook.com. Hello, Paul. Mary Jo Foley, allaboutmicrosoft.com. And that's what she told that guy in the Best Buy so many years ago.
I did.
Look me up. Paul had a great retort. So this was at dinner afterwards. By the way, it was really fun to spend a little time.
That was an excellent. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And Mary Jo, you were in a Best Buy or somewhere?
Yeah, I was in a Best Buy, and I heard somebody working there giving some incorrect information to a customer who was asking about Windows. And then I tried to correct the person, and the Best Buy employee said, "Who are you, lady?"
What do you know?
I said, "Do you have a web browser handy? Type in allaboutmicrosoft.com. That's me."
To which I added, and if your face comes up when the page loads, I'll apologize.
That's the line. I'm remembering that from now on.
Yeah.
And after that, the lady followed you around like a small puppy.
Exactly.
Waiting for your sage advice.
Yeah.
Well, we are here in the midst of an expocalypse. What do you call this? Windows XP
Apocalypse, I guess.
Expocalypse.
XP Apocalypse.
XP, and I've got it here, is dead.
Yep. Those look like the freebie, the cheapo Microsoft Store ones.
Yeah, they are.
Campus.
Wow, you nailed it. How did you know it has that big?
Because I bought a lot of software there, Leo.
That big sticker
like
says
the sticker they get on. Yeah.
Microsoft company store purchase not to be sold. Purchased by employee number, which is conspicuously blank.
Yep.
We've blanked it out for purposes of exposition. See there. So, gosh, it says right on the box, this is the best version of Windows ever, and
you know what it also says on the box is if you have a PC with Windows 95 on it, you could use this, and that is crazy.
You couldn't because it was such a
that
pig.
Could have been good advice even in 2000.
The smartest Windows ever. Smart capabilities that put you in charge. Make your experience your own. That's for the home version.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
Days, Leo.
Has the world come to an end?
Leo, when they launched Windows XP, there was a gateway cow in Times Square in New York City.
Wow,
that's a
you have
fact.
a good memory. Yeah,
That's a
I
fact.
remember that. Yep.
You actually have a lovely requiem for Windows XP, but you have to read it backwards.
Well, the ones at the bottom are the first ones I posted.
That's what I'm saying. You have to scroll up. In fact, you have some of the things we were just talking about. Windows XP, your computer will be faster, more reliable. Starts faster than any previous version. Also runs your programs more quickly and reliably, unless you're using a Windows 95.
It was amazing.
Was it?
No.
No.
No, it was fine.
With Windows XP, DOS is gone for good. Well, except that setup is in DOS. But other than that...
By the way, a million people wrote me to tell me, that's not really DOS, right?
Yeah, whatever.
To which I said,
up.
You could just relax.
Shut up. It's Twitter.
Settle down.
Steve Ballmer in an internal email to Microsoft employees, July 2001, I want everyone to upgrade to Windows XP Release Candidate 1 today.
And by the way, that email included the instructions for how it was going to happen, and it involved you walk by the receptionist in whatever building you work in, and they will hand you a disk, and then you will install it on your computer.
Wow.
And if you need help, here's how you get support from the local IT stuff. Like they actually made everyone upgrade.
They were serious.
Yeah.
Wow. Here's a picture of the long and winding road. Steve Guggenheimer, July 2001. From the Windows perspective, this will be an open bar.
Yeah, we need more open bars.
Plug in. What is that picture of? That's very blurry.
It was a sidebar, and it was actually like an MSN kind of thing, but this was like an idea for a future version of Windows, like Longhorn.
Right. They never really gave up the idea of those green hills.
Oh, they love the road. They love the road. The road goes ever on.
Taken. The road goes ever on. Here's another one. Imagine the future as a user being able to access services and local capabilities seamlessly.
Yep.
Was that really a brilliant writing in 2001? Was that like really a crystal ball?
Yeah. I mean, today we just do it without thinking about it.
Yeah. In fact, Microsoft says they're a
2001,
services company.
Sure.
Yeah. Early days of the cloud.
Windows XP had a way that you could sign in to your .NET Passport, which was what became Microsoft account. And now that's integrated right into the OS. It only took them, 15 years. So it's weird, I mean, how XP was the beginning of a lot of different stuff.
Quote Jim Alchin on a couple of things. Hiding features from consumers, not a good thing, not good for the industry. The industry needs Windows XP. It's designed for choice. And then, anyway, RIP Windows XP, writes Paul Thurrott yesterday. XP. Actually, was it midnight tonight, or last night, that the expiration was? Midnight California, or West, I guess, Seattle time.
Yeah, I went down to my bunker last night just in case the planet exploded.
The irony of this all is that, yes, there was a massive exploit that affected almost every user of computers in the world, and it was on open source software. By the way, seriously, thank you for taking the pressure off open source, because it's like it's like you get into like a drunk driving kind of a problem the night that Gary Busey does the same thing, and now no one cares about you anymore. All they care about is Gary Busey. It's so weird that happened right then. Nice. So I didn't know this, but thanks to our chatters, The picture, the Bliss wallpaper, the Green Hill wallpaper is Napa. It's right around the corner from here. That's what I see when I go out my door every single day.
The guy that took that photo threatened to sue me one time.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, sheesh.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Why? Charles O'Rear?
Because I took a picture. I'm sorry, I didn't take a picture. I reprinted a photo of him standing in front of that photo.
Oh, awesome.
And because I was writing about the background of it, of the picture. This was years ago. And he told me that was owned by whatever publication it was in and that I couldn't do that. And I told him, I don't know if you understand how
fair
use works in the United States, but of course I can do that.
Fair use.
So I told him he was welcome to try to sue me.
He was a National Geographic photographer.
Yeah. Great photographer. Apparently he's a little bit of a,
cranky.
kind of a jerk.
A little cranky. This is in Carneros, for those who are familiar with the area. I know exactly where this is. We go there all the time. There's the Carneros Inn is right by there.
So now that thing is covered in vines.
Yeah, it is. I bet you could not find that now. He took the picture.
Actually, there's a picture of it now. It looks the same. It just has, the
has vines on it.
The vine stands. Yeah.
Yeah, I would guess to be wine or grapes. Oh, look at this. Did you actually drive over there? Look at this. Look at this. Alex Gumpel drove over, and he saw it, and he took a picture. This is what it looks like just a few weeks ago. And you're exactly right. It's got grapevines on it. Not quite the rich cloud-laden sky, but
nice try, Alex.
It's that hill. You can see the mountain in the distance and all of that. Yeah. Wow.
I was very tempted to go there last night and watch the sunset.
He said he wanted to go there and watch the sunset last night.
Go with me, and I was tired, so.
Alex's idea of a romantic evening is somewhat
He's
off.
a romantic, but it's a weird kind of romance there.
Yeah.
Wow. That's neat, Alex. I'm glad you have that picture.
Cool.
That is.
good.
It's nice.
It's right off of 12. I know exactly where it is. Yeah. We drive there all the time. It's so funny.
By the way, over the years, this would happen at speaking engagements, tech eds, and things like that. I had been approached many, many times by people who claimed to know exactly where that was. It was in Ireland. It was in New Zealand.
Right.
China.
You've seen one Green Hill, you've seen them all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is covered with vines. But that's pretty much all of Napa, because that is great grape growing area, baby. That's Pinot. That's your Pinot right there. So no word at all about any issues. I guess it's a little early, or is it? I had in my mind, in my imagination, I might have even said this out loud, the idea that there were hackers just poised, just waiting with their fingers on the figurative button to launch these exploits into the wild. They've been saving them up, and they just thought, well, the best time to do this would be the day after Microsoft stops releasing patches, because now nobody's going to fix it.
Hasn't happened yet.
Hasn't happened, oddly enough.
That we know of.
It does, even a 0 day takes a little while. It's not really 0 days. It's a few days.
This is more like going after the zeros that are still running Windows XP.
How many people is that?
Up to 450 million of them,
Jeez.
right? If there are 1.5 billion Windows users, which is what Microsoft says, and you look at the net market share data for usage, about 450 million.
Wow. I noticed nobody doing a Twitter reverse tribute to Clippy in Office 2003.
I saw a couple of Clippy ones somewhere.
Oh, did you? Okay. Good.
And IE6 also end of life, end of support. Rather.
Let's not forget that Windows XP had the Clippy type dog, right? The search dog.
I hate the search dog.
I hate it so much. And I remember, ranting about this at the time because you could turn it off. It was one of the first things I did when I installed XP. I hated seeing that thing.
Hate the search
But as part of disabling it, they animated the dog walking away and then looking back over his shoulder at you as if to make you feel bad that you just turned it off.
Isn't that awful?
Yeah.
He sighs deeply, and then his ears and tail hang. And
I disappointed the digital dog in XP.
Aww.
By the way, that was on by default in Windows XP Professional, the version that went out to businesses. Yes.
What?
Oh, it was.
Yes.
It was on everything. It was on everything.
It was on everywhere, yep.
We had to make that dog unhappy.
Remember in the beginning, they were going to have weird little differences between Home and Pro? Sorry.
Sorry, Paul. Was that the same dog in Microsoft Bob or not the same dog? Remember
Basically,
that dog?
yeah. It looked very similar.
Same
Yeah.
dog. Yeah.
I decided to wear a black armband.
Nice.
Nice. It looks like one of those things you see around sushi.
like a croupier.
Like your arm is like a piece of uni or something.
It is actually seaweed.
Leo is
Very
like a
good.
battleship uni, like a battleship sushi.
Just slice it here and here. It's going to be tasty and delicious. Did Bill Gates' wife Melinda was the product manager for Bob?
Right.
That's right.
So now you know how people are rewarded when they do something great.
You get to marry
Microsoft.
the boss. Look at that.
Oh my God.
Look at that. So
It was the only way they could get her off of Microsoft products, you know. The person responsible for Bob must never do anything again.
Take her away. Take her to Carneros for the weekend. So, all right. Well, it's I think interesting to note that Paul and I started doing this show in the XP era.
I know.
It's a
Arguably,
show.
we've been in the XP era the whole time, Leo. I mean,
for 500 million people.
I wonder when Windows 7 surpassed XP usage. It probably wasn't. I mean, XP was. Windows 7 was only really in the market for 3 years, so it probably wasn't that long ago. But it's interesting what it took, for that to happen.
I'm sorry,
I have no feeling in my
11.
left arm.
I'm losing blood flow.
The answer to your question, 2011, according to
Wow.
Bing.
2011. Yeah, very
That's
late.
how long? Because Vista you can
Windows
write
7
off.
surpasses XP.
Yeah.
That's still only a couple of years. I mean, Windows 7 probably came out in 2009, so
Yeah.
it only took a couple of years. But but that's how long XP was number one. I mean, it's amazing. Vista never did it.
Yeah, we have to remember XP was really two operating systems that were both called XP, right? XP Service Pack 2 really should have been called a different operating system because it was, but they called it XP anyway.
They would have, Service Pack 2 was sort of necessitated by the trustworthy computing stuff and Microsoft halted development and all that kind of stuff. And I think had it not been for that, they would have called that something else, and it would have been a new version. Still a long time. I mean,
Yeah, pretty amazing.
still, it's probably 11 years since XP SP2.
Very, very amazing. What an interesting, what a long, strange trip it's been.
Yes.
And Update 1 came out yesterday too, didn't it?
Yeah, did it?
Update. Did it?
It kind of
Supposed
did.
to. Did it not?
No, it did.
It did.
It did. I know because I was on Twitter trying to answer some questions about it, and it drove me to drink. It was a lot of questions. It started rolling out around 1 p.m. Eastern, but a lot of people were thinking it was going to come earlier, and they were saying, "Oh, where is it? It's not here." I keep hitting, the control panel and keep trying to refresh. Where is this thing? And I know it's. You know what this is? It's like a patch that makes Windows 8.1 work better if you're a mouse user, pretty much, right?
Yeah. Right. And I keep hearing from people, so what's in here that makes it better on a tablet? And it's like, well, there's a shutdown button on the. Oh, actually, that's not on tablets. Nothing. I guess would be the answer.
Tablets.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think there's something weird with these updates. Microsoft telegraphed in advance that this thing would be coming on Tuesday, April 8th. And Tuesday, April 8th happens. People wake up and they say, okay, I've checked Windows Update. How come I don't have it? Right. And that's, I think, the source of your frustration. You get a lot of those kind of questions like I do.
Yep.
And the other thing that's weird about it is that there is no Update 1 exe. It's a bunch of things. It's 3 to 5 different executables, depending on how you do it. But there's also a prerequisite. And one of the things that people were seeing was the Patch Tuesday updates would come out, and they wouldn't see Update 1 in there. But what they didn't realize was that they had to install those updates because they hadn't gotten the prerequisite. Reboot, and then Update 1 would be offered, right? It was just kind of a weird thing. So a lot of yesterday was spent with people grumbling.
Because they didn't know what they got. Is this the update I'm looking at Microsoft support?
Well, that's what I'm
site?
saying. There is no actual.
It doesn't say update.
It is one of
right.
3. This is one of 3 files that sort of constitute the update.
What's new? And then what's new in Windows 8.1 update is kind of deep buried within this post. There is a link, so you kind of get what you get. It might, and the first bullet, it might already be installed.
I know.
I think the thing they might have done is put up a banner
saying welcome to the new Windows.
and it says congratulations, you got update.
But maybe they didn't want to really, isn't it?
But what's the point? In other words, if you're paying attention, you're looking at the start screen, and you're like, this looks a little different. Did something change? You know, I mean, it seems like they could have, people like getting new things, I think, for the most part. Right?
The most obvious change, of course, you're going to have.
And also those two buttons,
the on-off switch.
And by the way, I don't actually want to have a conversation about this per se, but there is a fascinating little bit of trivia around when you will or will not get the power button, because it's not on all computers. The absence of the power button does not mean that you don't have update 1.
That's interesting, because even in this article, they don't mention the power button. They say if you see a search button near your account name, you have
as
the
they
update.
should, because that will always appear.
This may not appear.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it isn't an instant rollout. They say it's going to be over a period of several weeks.
And so that actually was, I think, was a mistake to say, because what they're really referring to is automatically installed over the next couple of weeks. If you want it right now, you have Windows 8.1, you can go to Windows Update and get it. In other words, I telling people that it might be installed over the next couple of weeks after they just said, oh, no, it's coming out on the 8th.
Yeah.
Huge mistake.
Yeah.
Huge mistake.
Because people then say, what?
Yep.
So this is KB2919355. If you've got that, you've got it.
But that doesn't appear until you do the other ones. You know, like it's...
If you don't see it, as they say, in the list of available updates, you got to do other updates first. Yeah. Then it will, particularly 2919442. Who could forget that one?
Exactly.
That's a good one, by the way.
Oh, wow.
No, and you know what? You know what made this even more confusing was there were other updates that went out yesterday for Windows 8.1 that were not the Windows update. So there were updates with a lowercase u, and then there were updates with
Those
the
are updates
capital.
with a little u, Mary Jo.
Yeah.
So in our chat room, DK76 says there's an update waiting for me that's 900 megabytes. Is that? It's got to be it, right? It's big would be the other way you'd know.
Is it that big?
That's awfully big. You know, of course, I didn't look at my S7 this morning. What am I thinking? It should have been like Christmas Day. I run into my office. I look at my Acer. Did you get it? Did you get it? But no, I didn't do that.
Maybe you did. Maybe you have to.
Don't know.
If you really want it, you can force it.
It's I don't have it here. It's at home. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, 900 megabytes. Everybody's saying that's about what they had. 800 or 900 thereabouts.
Yeah.
That's big.
Yeah, there is one big one. Yeah.
That's more than a patch, my friends.
Yeah.
That's KB.
Which it's supposed to be.
Yeah, that's KB2919355 in all its glory.
It's like an early George Lucas movie. In the dystopian future. KB95.
You know, there was one other thing they said that also got people a little panicked yesterday. They said if you are running Windows 8.1, you need to put update 1, or no, sorry, not update 1. They just call it the update on your machine before May Patch Tuesday, because if you don't, you're not going to get any more patches or fixes.
That's so you have
right.
So
that kind of stirred the pot, because then people started saying, "Oh man, I got to get this now, right?"
Yeah. Well, no, or people are saying, "You know what? Screw you, Microsoft. I like Windows 8.1 right the way it is right now. I don't want this update." And now you're telling me that I have to get this? I mean, you get the weird backlash from people. You know, I don't want to right click and get a mouse menu. I want to right click and get the old menu, you know, the Metro style menu. Surely there's some way to disable this. And it's like, you know, not really. Not that I know of anyway, although you never know. It's funny to watch people complain about it no matter what it is, you know?
Yeah, pretty much. Right. Yeah, I know. I had people saying, well, I want the start button, but I don't want the power button, and I have it. And it's like, well, you got both. Sorry. Because you can't turn either of those buttons
My tip is about,
off.
actually, so you can turn off the power button.
Oh, you
not
can?
the power.
Interesting.
Yeah, the shutdown button. Yeah, you can.
You can? Oh, good. Okay, because
Yep.
I asked Microsoft that, and they said no, so that's good.
So I'll talk about this during the tip part, but there are, in fact, a bunch of settings, some of which are not exposed in Update 1, that can be controlled with registry hacks or, you know, registry changes that I'm only just beginning to become aware of. But don't know if you heard me in the press room, but I was telling Simon and some other guys that on 2 of my computers now, I can no longer trigger the charms. And I think it's a setting that's being synced, and it's a mistake, but I think there's a registry key that actually turns off the charms. I don't want to get people too excited.
I
but
think you have to actually shout, "Release the charms!"
Yes.
when you're clicking in the lower right-hand corner.
Actually, I think if you click your heels together, the little leprechaun charm appears, and then you can...
They're magically delicious.
You have 3 wishes. You have 3 UI pieces that you can change.
Windows 8.1 update. It's magically delicious. Now, see, there is an opportunity missed.
Yep.
Mark Penn is asleep
But I got to say, I said this last week. I like update 1. I like keep calling update 1. Update. And I've had so many people say, I don't want the update. I don't want, this feature or that feature. But you know what? If you're using it primarily as touch, you're not going to see a lot of the stuff that you're objecting to. So just do it.
That's what people, that's what would be if you were a desktop user, you wouldn't.
Right. If you're a desktop user and you use it with the mouse, you get all these new, easier to navigate kinds of features.
But if you're not a desktop user, if you're one of the 17 or 18 people that are using a tablet, nothing changed. Nothing changed.
Yeah, you could still use it.
I mean, a couple of small things changed. I mean, in other words, they haven't changed the way things work. It's the same.
Right.
So it's not like your experience has been made worse. It's fine.
Right. And we should repeat again, because I've gotten this question like at least 1,000 times. The start menu is not there, and it's not supposed to be there, even though Microsoft showed
But you said, Mary Jo.
Oh, man.
And I heard it distinctly. You said the words, and repeat after me. You said start menu. That's all I'm saying. I heard you say that. So I don't understand why.
Not yet.
I believe she said the word start button.
Paul, at 3507 of episode 351 of Windows Weekly,
I'm saving every recording.
My best emails and comments start off with the line, you said.
Yeah.
You
said.
But here's what I really said, or at least I wanted to say if I didn't say it. The start menu is coming, but not with this update. And
it's in threshold.
I think
that's threshold.
That's threshold, we think. Or maybe update 2. We don't really know if there is an update 2. But the thing to remember is, and I know why people are confused, Microsoft didn't used to show future features of Windows, at least not for the past 6 years. Now they're going back to showing you a glimpse of the future. So people are so unused to the fact that you might actually see something that's future. They think, oh, that must be there now because Microsoft doesn't show futures anymore. So it got
and just in case you thought that the start menu coming back was going to solve all our problems, I guarantee you, and I mean I literally guarantee, that as this happens, when it happens, the complaints will roll in because it's not the start menu from Windows 7, is it? It's a new kind of start menu.
It is.
It looks a little bit like
actually
this Windows
looked
7.
cool.
It looks cool.
I liked how it looked in that mock-up.
Yeah, I do too.
That we saw.
Yeah, but we're reasonable people, Mary. I already know, because this is what happens all the time, that when this thing is happening, people will complain. They will. Of course they will.
They will. They will.
They will. Yeah. They're also, for IT pros who've been trying to figure out how to update onto people's PCs, if you're trying to update your users, there's been a glitch with Windows Server Update Services. So there's some problems with installing the patch using WSUS, and Microsoft has temporarily halted distributing the patch through that until they work that out. So
and it's a particular version of WSUS, isn't it?
Right, it is. It says, I'm looking at the note about it. There's a known issue with some PCs updating to Windows 8.1 Update. It stops scanning against WSUS 3.0 Service Pack 2 servers, which are configured to use SSL.
Is that
but
what
have
is
not
that? What
enabled
version is that?
TLS 1.2.
So what is that?
That's what it says.
2012, 2008 R2? What is that?
2003, Windows Server 2003, 2008.
Okay. Oh, it's older. Oh, so it's an older version.
Older versions. So if you're having a problem with that, you should probably check out the WSUS product team blog, because there are some people who have, and they've been asking me why they can't get the patch. I mean, can't get the update. Sorry.
Right.
Yeah. So it hasn't been quite smooth sailing. I had a couple people tell me they couldn't get IE to work anymore once they updated to update. I had some people say all their Metro apps stopped working.
Wow, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, that sounded really awesome.
Jeez.
Yeah.
How about
There's
the,
always this stuff. Anytime you have a big operating
There are.
system upgrade, some small percentage of people will have a problem.
Yep.
It happened last time. And then what you do is you do it over or you restart. Fortunately, Windows 8 makes it very easy to get back to normal.
Yeah.
I mean, the only issue is how big a percentage it is. You know, how many people are having this problem. I doubt it's very many. But
And I actually don't think there's any huge rush on
should you wait?
WSS 3.0 Service Pack 2 or
Right.
whatever that was. You know, I mean, they'll get that fixed.
They're going to get it fixed. Right.
People can wait. You can wait a month, up to a month, and then install.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I was joking about this, I think, with Dan or somebody online. It's going to come yesterday, so it's going to come out sometime today. Don't wait up for it. I mean, you have to wait till it will still be there tomorrow.
I'm gonna wait.
They're going to make plenty.
I want it now.
It's okay.
I didn't get it yet. I want it now.
Or vice
There's
versa.
a weird. It's kind of a nerd culture thing, when you're a tech enthusiast.
It's the new thing. You want the next new thing. Sure you do. I always would. Do you want to run through the features? I know it's all on the super site.
I don't think we need to run through all of them, but I think the important bit, unless you want to, Mary Jo, I mean, I just think it's important to note that this is a step on a road toward making Windows acceptable for each of the kinds of users that are going to use Windows. And I think one of the big mistakes they made with 8.0 in particular was kind of subverting the experience for people who use Windows on a traditional computer, which is almost all of them. And, they made some steps in 8.1 that made that better, and some further steps in 8.1 update, which will make it even better still. And so there's a ways to go. And we talked about the start menu and the ability to run modern Windows as floating windows on the desktop, which is also coming probably in Threshold, are further steps. So it's kind of a, what they could do after 4 months of work. And I don't think I wouldn't say any of it changes the experience dramatically, but it certainly makes it more pleasant to use Windows 8.1, I guess, on a regular computer, with a mouse and a keyboard.
Yeah, I like the fact that the taskbar is carried over across now, so you always can see the taskbar if you're using the mouse. And I also like the right click on the apps and have the context menu pop up. Just things that make it easier to navigate this. Closing an app with a little X in the upper right corner. It doesn't actually fully close it, but it gives you the impression you're closing the app.
Yeah.
Those little things, right?
It's it's Windows, right? So there's all these little screwy rules, like when you do or do not see that shutdown menu, when you do or do not see a minimize button in those modern apps, for example, there'll always be an X, for closing it, but only under certain conditions will there be a minimize button, and it's like the keeping the stuff straight in one's head or documenting, like I try to do for a book or whatever. Will keep me dutifully employed for years to come. It is crazy. All of the weird little things, just because Windows is so huge and complex.
Yeah, they told Paul, they probably used the same analogy with you. When I was saying, why didn't you guys do this before? Like, why couldn't a Windows 8 have had these features when you came out with it at first? They said, you know what building Windows is like? It's like making pizza for 1.5 billion people. No two people want the same toppings, right? It's kind of true. It's like the way I use it, you are very different.
Yep, completely different. And by the way, that couldn't be more true. I was sitting next to Mary Jo in the press room, and I have to say, I don't even know why you have a computer.
Was she using a reporter's pad and a number 2 pencil?
It is amazing how little of the processing power of that thing that you probably use.
It's really true. But
I can't believe your battery doesn't last for 13 hours. Like,
you should get a Chromebook, Mary Jo. Come on.
I need apps that work offline. That's one limitation for the Chromebook. But the reason I do get a PC with a lot of processing power is it makes my workflow go quicker, right? Like I can scroll. Sure. I mean, I can surf the web much faster. I'd get things to come up, and I have an existing PC that is fine with Notepad, obviously, but just very slow.
How can anything be slow with Notepad?
That's
No,
just
I mean,
funny.
Notepad's not slow. but,
getting
but
to it.
surfing the web is
Oh,
really,
I see.
or using
Well,
Skype.
if Notepad takes 1 second longer to load every time you launch it, and after a year,
That's an
you
hour.
probably it's like 2 weeks of efficiency.
And I notice it.
My computer has 2 versions of Visual Studio,
Yeah.
Hyper-V, right? Photoshop, a complete Office suite, obviously, 4 web browsers.
Couldn't be more different.
And Mary Jo's running Notepad.
Couldn't be
it's
more different.
very interesting, yeah.
Not to
Like,
mention,
granted, my computer runs like crap. It's really slow. 'Cause I got all this stuff running.
but it's powerful.
Yeah.
Our show today brought to you by our friends at sharefile.com. Let's take a little break. We'll come back with more Paul and Mary Jo and the latest Windows stuff. ShareFile is the place to go if you're in business and you're sharing files. Now, you should not, in this day and age, be attaching files to email, and yet most business emails have something attached, a contract, a spreadsheet, a presentation. ShareFile eliminates that, making it more secure, more effective. You don't want to attach them. You want to attach a link from sharefile.com. It's a business solution. It lets you exchange files quickly, securely. You don't lose control of the content. You see who downloads it and when. You can actually set parameters. Say they can download it for a week, a month, a year, a day, forever. You could say how many times they can download it. ShareFile is designed by Citrix to work for every industry. It's HIPAA compliant. It complies with SEC regulations. It is everything you need. You can even use it to request files. I had a call on the radio show. A guy's an attorney, wanted to request, I guess he was doing an accident case. He wanted pictures of the car. He said, but how do I get my clients who are not particularly sophisticated to send those car phone pictures to me, their camera phone pictures to me? I said, request it with ShareFile. See the big button? Here's my ShareFile account. I click a button that says request file, and I can actually create a link that I can email to somebody that will make it easy for them to upload files to me. You see, it's branded with my name, my company name, so it doesn't look like it's ShareFile. It looks like it's me that has all this sophisticated technology. I send files all the time to radio stations. Give you an example, show you what it looks like. Let's say I've got here's an ad that I needed to, or voice track. I need to send it out to KDGO radio. I'm going to click that link and I'm going to say send that. Now, I could send it as an email. If you use Outlook, they have a plugin that makes it look just like you're attaching a file without any of the risks of file attachments. I'm just going to say, give me the link. Here's where you can control how the file is used. Email me when it's been downloaded. Require recipients to enter name and email before downloading. I could say when the expiration date is. I could say what the number of downloads per user is. When I click that button, I'm going to get a link, a unique link. By the way, people copy this link even though it's crazy long. Whenever I do this ad, they copy it. And I can tell because then I get the email saying, somebody had downloaded that file. That's okay. Knock yourself out. But watch this is what happens. When you get the link in the email and you click it, you get a very nice, very simple page with a big download button, my logo on it, and information about what the file is, how big it is. It could not be easier. If it's multiple files, they zip them before they send them. The thing is, no more bounce backs. Files can be almost any size. I mean, really big. I can't remember what the limit is, but it's gigabytes. Of course, you don't have the issue of it being read along the way. That's what makes it HIPAA compliant. And you don't have this worry about, I tell people all the time, don't open attachments. Still they do. And still you send them. Use ShareFile instead. Go to sharefile.com. You can try this free for 30 days. If you're not the person at your business who decides what software to use, show them this. Get them to click this link. It says podcast listeners right at the top and enter our offer code Windows. That way Paul and Mary Jo get credit. Choose your industry too, because that'll really help them understand what you need and customize it. In every field, from construction to event planning, financial to food service, healthcare, marketing, manufacturing, legal. It's all here. Sharefile.com. Please, I beg of you, use our offer code Windows for 30 days free. You will thank me later. I just saw Condoleezza Rice is taking a job on the board of directors of Dropbox, and I thought, yeah, that must be nice for the NSA. Really simplifies the interface.
The Trojan horse, as it were.
Anyway, Sharefile.com. Use my offer code. Winders.
But you know what? In the same way that OpenSSH thing has kind of taken the pressure off Windows XP, this cloud computing stuff and the NSA stuff and Snowden and all that is nice because it's kind of taken the pressure off Microsoft too. Because in the past, it was always about how Windows supposedly has some backdoor built into it.
Now we know.
Now it's everything. Yep. It's everything. And so, again, it's nice to see, the heterogeneous world that we're in. It has some nice side effects.
I am gonna Tumblr on their blog. They fixed it because Tumblr, Yahoo, Twitter, everybody uses OpenSSL, and so they all have to do the patch, and you have to wait until they've done the patch, and then you should change your password.
Change the password. Yeah.
And so Tumblr said we fixed it, and we recommend you take a day off from work and change all your passwords. And I'm thinking that's what I'm gonna do tomorrow. I use LastPass. I'm gonna go through everything and update all my passwords. It's terrible.
When do you do security now?
We did it yesterday. We talked nothing but
Yeah, I
Heartbleed.
could imagine. So I have a question for Steve Gibson. I'm curious what you think about this. Given two-factor authentication now, which is available on most of the major services, it's not everywhere, but I have to think it's going to be everywhere. Once you have that enabled, like, A, do you even need to worry about this? And B, if you don't, then why do we have complex passwords? Like, if you're protected by dual-factor authentication, why not just have a simple password you could actually remember?
Well,
because you're always going to use a code too.
You are, but I mean, it's not really two-factor if one of the factors is incredibly weak.
It's ridiculous. Well, no, it doesn't have to be silly. It just has to be something easy and memorable.
No, I agree. And I used my bank I use two-factor. I have to get a text message before I can get into the bank. Twitter, Outlook, Gmail, all of them use two-factor, and I turn it on. Facebook, I wish everybody would. And you're right. No, as far as I know. Now, there is, so, and this, you know what, it is a good question for Steve. Here's the one possible issue. Okay. First of all, what Heartbleed did was allow a hacker to 64 megabytes at a time download data from that server. He couldn't say, I want to see Paul Thurrott's records. It's just whatever you got,
just gets whatever it may be,
including, of course, the SSL key so that all, they could do a man in the middle as well. The question is among that information, and I would guess it is the secret that they need to know whether my authenticator is working properly. So the way authenticator works is time-based. They hash the time with a secret number.
It's probably 30 seconds or it's something
it's 30 seconds. So they hash that time with a secret number. They know the secret number, and your phone knows the secret number. The bad guy presumably does not, but maybe the bad guy does. Because he's got that data as well. So I'm thinking, is it 64 bytes, not 64 megabytes? Sorry, 64 bytes at a time. I'm thinking that the two-factor might be compromised as well because they do need to know your secret number to know if you are, in fact, entering the correct code. So I think you still need to change your password, and I think you probably should still use a good password. Hate to tell you.
Fine. And
Take
this is
the
why
day off,
I don't do security now.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I'll ask Steve. That's we're going to do a Q&A episode next week, and that will certainly be one of the questions. But given...
By the way, hopefully this is all fixed and done by next week, too. That would be the other thing.
Yeah.
I assume... I mean, this is like DEFCON 1.
It is as bad as it could be.
Yeah.
Because it's been a bug for 2 years. And there's no way of knowing if, there's no way your bank can say whether or not it's been utilized against it. There leaves no trace. So they could have been getting 64K worth of your data, worth of the bank's data, every, minute for the last 2 years, which means they probably could have everything. I don't know how much sense they can make out of that. They can't say what is Paul Thurrott's password, as I understand it.
Right.
So it's about as bad as you can get, and that's the thing is, the chances really of you having a problem are small. But why take the chance? I mean, if they have access to your bank, I don't know.
My wife has access to my bank, so when I do things like buy a phone,
I worry more about your wife.
5 minutes later, I hear the steps on the stairs, and my wife walks in and she says, "Did you just spend $287 at AT&T?"
I know.
And I'm like, "Yeah," and then she goes, "No, you didn't," and then she walks away.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was the end of that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's Lisa has access to my stuff too because she runs the business and everything goes through the business. So, yeah, I get the same. Did you just spend $28,000 for a sailboat? No.
No. And you're wearing like an admiral's hat,
Aye.
you know, and a scarf. You know, you're like, no.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Let's move on. By the way, Google has patched most. Yahoo has patched most. There are services on both companies'
Where's
sites.
Microsoft in this? Has Microsoft commented
They're
on this?
probably not too vulnerable because IIS, in most cases, doesn't use the OpenSSL library.
Okay.
However, there is a plugin, and there may be some IIS servers that are using OpenSSL. The other problem is that
is to forget about the cloud and just put all your data locally. I think.
Oh yeah,
we can all
your money's
understand
safer in your mattress. I think we all know
Yeah.
that.
No, it could be in a bank. It just has to be in a safety deposit box.
Right, that's it. Don't put it in an account. No
Best of both
internet
worlds.
access. It is, it's a mess. I would, if anybody really wants to know more, listen to yesterday's Security Now. He went into great detail about how it works, what it is, and all of that stuff. And I didn't ask him, and I wish I had, but I would be willing to bet that the secret is part of that data that they can gather. And if that's the case, then your two-factor is also compromised.
It's not much of a factor, then, is it?
No, it's not. Moving right along to better.
It's like an episode of CSI. The music kicks
better
in.
stuff. It's morning again in Redmond.
I guess as I
do you
wrote this,
mean
and then
by
I thought
that?
later, we sort of talked about this last week, but
Well, it was early days, but I mentioned a Business Week article that said in a matter of a few days, Satya Nadella has put his stamp on Microsoft, and it is a brand new Microsoft. You pointed out that a lot of what has happened had to have been in process since long ago.
And there's a little bit of that later in the show too, but I think it's absolutely fair to say that his presence alone has opened the floodgates. Because I know, and Mary Jo, I'm sure, same type of thing. You hear from people there, and they have sort of some people there have kind of a weird adversarial relationship with the outside world, including people like Mary Jo and myself, or even with customers. And some people don't, and they don't understand what's going on. And the last several years at Microsoft have been a little bit strange.
I have to
for
think
kind of stuff.
that Steve Ballmer was, whatever you feel about him, was a bit of an albatross around Microsoft's neck, and merely replacing him with anybody gives them at least a honeymoon period, right?
Sure. Yeah. I don't think it's all going to be, honey and roses or anything, but I don't know. So far, so good. And sort of unofficially polling people at the show, both just regular showgoers and press people and so forth. I mean, it seems like there's an opening, like an opening up, I guess is how I'd put it. And I heard from several different product teams, which was very nice. And it just feels like things are changing,
Well, you guys are close Microsoft watchers. I watch at a greater distance.
You're probably wise, by the way, because you can get bit.
But I sincerely, I feel a different. It feels different.
Do you feel it too?
I absolutely feel it. It feels like they're more open. That they have finally acknowledged that that the cloud and services are really the future for Microsoft. For so long they were so protective of the crown jewels, Windows and Office, that I think it slowed them down in this cloud world.
Oh, it absolutely slowed them down. It put blockers on everything that they did. From as far back as Steven Sinofsky canceling the NetDocs project in Office, because that might have competed with Office.
Perfect example. Perfect example.
It's from 10 years ago, probably now.
And
it's very interesting. It's
and so I
interesting.
think and this it's partly honeymoon, but look at the board picked a guy who came from enterprise, who came from services, came from Azure. They renamed. It's not Windows Azure. It's Microsoft Azure. I know that seems like a big deal to make a big deal out of it, silly to make a big deal out of that, but it isn't.
No, it's a big deal.
They announced an iPad product front and forward without mentioning Windows at all, practically. This is, to me, it feels
Yeah.
very, very, very different and very positive. If I were an investor, if I could buy Microsoft stock, I would say this might be the good time to do it. Has the stock gone up since Satya Nadella?
Let's hit 40, right? I mean,
Oh, wow, that's a big jump.
40 still. Yep.
Still, I thought that was a lot up. Oh, no, you're right. It's
Yeah.
been 40 for...
Few,
Well,
couple
no,
weeks
no,
at
no,
least.
no. 6
think
months
around the
ago, it
time
was
of
at
iPad.
34.
Right.
Yeah.
When they did Office for iPad, that's when it hit 40, I think.
So there you go.
Stayed there. Yep.
It's going up slowly, but
the
definitely.
iPad Halo has finally affected Microsoft.
All right. Yeah, it definitely does feel different. I mean, even just in terms of the message from them, like, we want to get your feedback and actually use it in the products.
Right.
Like, before that felt like lip service. And I felt like at Build,
Right.
they actually do want to get people's feedback. Like WPF, for example, Windows Presentation Foundation. They're going to build another version of that, it turns out. But they're soliciting developer feedback before they even start. Now,
Yeah, heaven forbid.
that's a nice change, right?
I don't remember if I told the story in the podcast, but last summer I did some stuff for the Office 365 guys at, not around TechEd, or was it around TechEd? I guess it was around TechEd. And so we had a phone call before TechEd where we talked about some of the stuff, and I gave them some feedback. I sort of felt like the Office, the guys from Microsoft were being a little too down on their stuff, and that they should, present kind of a sunnier picture and so forth. And we went back and forth on it. And before TechEd, I met with them, and they gave me this kind of list of stuff that they were going to go through. And I looked at it and I said, "What is this? This is nothing like what we talked about before." And she said, "Oh, we implemented all those changes you recommended." And I was like, I've no one's ever done that before. I've never seen this. This is what that looks like. This is amazing. I mean, it was just so weird, and I sort of feel like all of Microsoft now is suddenly listening, not that I have all the ideas, and it's not about listening to me. I mean, it's about listening to everybody. Listening to customers, which you see, of course, in update 1 in a big way, and you'll see in the future updates. Listening to people that cover them like Mary Jo and I do, and many other people. It's not just us two. I mean, it's a lot. There's a lot of people that really care about this stuff and care about the future of these products and how they evolve over time. And some people have some good ideas, and not all of them work at Microsoft. It's nice, and it's too bad because I feel like they always had this kind of process in place for many, many years. Obviously, Microsoft had formal beta programs and things that they could do to get formal bits of feedback from users and so forth, and tap programs and all that stuff. And a lot of that is either gone now or is just not as big of a deal as it used to be. And hopefully some of that stuff comes back too. So I just feel like, like a corner has been turned there. It's nice.
I feel like we should start singing.
I know. Kumbaya.
Ian is in the chat room. He works at Microsoft.
Oh, not that song. You mean a Les Mis song, which I will not sing.
I first I have to find Mary Jo's tweet about it, right? You put a link.
Yeah,
in your
it's right.
tweet.
No, it's
No,
in the
it's in our
Office.
show-
It's
for
in the
iPad.
show notes. Okay,
It's
should we
under
save
Office
it?
for iPad.
Should we save it
Yep.
for when you wanted to do it?
It doesn't
It
matter.
is more appropriate then.
Yeah.
It's the OneNote for Mac team, which I gather Ian is on, and he points out that OneNote is a good example of all the new stuff. OneNote is very cloudy, and
Right.
and I
All
think,
cloud. I mean, and that's an application that started out as just a basic local desktop app.
yeah,
A couple of versions ago, it synced to the cloud, and now it
is the
that's
cloud.
the preferred way to do it. Yeah.
yeah. Hey there, we sang a song. We hope you like it. The OneNote engineering team. Oh dear. Oh dear. This is on YouTube.
One note Mac, another note, another web clipping, this never-ending page of memories. These notes are with me all the time, I'll surely use it all the time. One note Mac. I did not know until today. How can I take notes without a client? One note Mac.
Today we'll be noting away.
What a talented team. And there's the Pacific Northwest out the window. Looks just like Paris.
One note in the Mac App Store. Should I phone them
a giant pencil. I want more of the giant pencil. Ian, are you in this? Which one's you, Ian? This is actually smart. They should do more of this. There's a guy in the red shirt.
Yeah.
The red shirt. This really emphasizes who Microsoft is, and I love this. It's diverse,
Not a lot of 40-year-olds in this. Video.
young, very young.
Right?
Yeah, I love this. I think this is exactly what you should do. This. Oh my God, he's out in the woods.
That's the campus.
That's beautiful. Look how young they are. Yeah.
Yeah, they're really young. They should have done Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, it's an odd choice. But here comes the best part, according to Ian. It's cold. There's steam coming out of their mouths. It's raining. It's raining. Yes, it is. Whoa. I think that's really cool. And I guarantee you Mark Penn did not decide to do this. That's a...
This video not approved by Mark.
Yeah. No, that's... you know what? They should do more
You
of
know,
that.
can I just say something? I
Yes.
don't approve of the constant slagging of Mark Penn that occurs on this podcast.
You defend him. You offset it.
Wait, well, are you a fan?
He is, sadly.
Really? Why do you like
just-
Mark Penn so damn much?
Sometimes he's like Darth Vader. He's so evil, you kind of have to love him.
Oh, okay. I could get with that.
You know,
He's the lovable evil.
he's the guy that makes the dark side fun.
Wow.
I don't know.
It was all done, Ian says, after hours. This wasn't part of their job. They did it for fun. That's why, it was a spare time thing. It was their idea, and I love that. That's
I have
awesome.
no problem with them getting paid to do that. I have to be honest.
Well, I hope there's
it's
a little
no-
something in their paycheck this week.
It is no tweet choir, my friends.
What's that?
It's a
You-
tweet.
Did you forget the tweet choir? Whoa.
Oh.
Google that. I mean, bang it. You'll see.
And then hate yourself.
Was that a Microsoft thing?
It was a CES thing where they hired a gospel
Oh,
choir,
Yeah.
and remember
They
that?
had a gospel choir at the XP launch, coincidentally.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, we don't really need to revisit that. It'll just.
This was a terrible idea.
Watching online, many of you
Wasn't as bad as the
are
S4
moving away
launch
and
last year,
curious
but
to know what
At least
you
they
might
had
be
Ryan
saying.
Seacrest
So
doing
to
it.
Interpret all of this.
Boy, he must have been
Please
thinking. You
welcome
could see him actually thinking,
is it me or is he the next Hasselhoff?
when do I get my check? By the way, very tepid applause to the... Yeah, I remember this. This was kind of fascinating.
That's a word we could apply.
This is Mark Penn's idea, I'm sure.
No.
Yeah, those guys are all Supreme Court judges.
Yeah, right. Well, there's Sandra Day O'Connor on the left. And he's going to sing a tweet. Oh, Lord.
Everyone can go ahead.
All right, that's enough of that.
To LSU.
No more of that. That's all there is. Well, Paul's
One note from
disappeared.
Mac, way better.
Look
Way
at
better.
Paul just disappeared.
Oh, he just
He turned it into a
disappeared.
Windows XP screen.
He couldn't take the.
What
tweet
happened?
choir.
Did he log out?
I think he just left.
Alex! Alex!
It was too painful. The tweet.
What the hell
choir.
happened? Did something that Skype machine reboot? That's Paul. He ran in here and said, "What the hell?"
Oh no.
All right, that was my fault. I should never have tweeted. Done the tweet
Should
choir.
have never got the choir going. Yeah.
While we're getting Paul back, I'll do a Squarespace ad, and I'm sorry. That was my fault. No, Windows Weekly is not turning into a variety show. We're going to go right back to the format momentarily. But first, a word from Squarespace. That's where your next website is about to occur. Have you heard? Have you checked it out? You can use it free for a week. If you visit, 2 weeks, if you go to squarespace.com and click that button that says, get started. A better web awaits at squarespace.com. Why do I like Square? Well, first of all, it's best hosting ever. You can't bring a Squarespace site down, which is awesome. Truly wonderful. But also you're getting the great software on top of that. So it's hosting plus software. Fabulous stuff too, let me tell you. Here's what you do. Go to squarespace.com, click Get Started. You're going to have 25 templates to start with. You may say, well, that's not enough. No, because if you click any template and look at what people have done with it, every Squarespace site looks different. A lot of photographers and artists, because of course Squarespace looks good, but also every design is what we call mobile responsive. It looks great at any size. That's important if you're putting your image up there. Very, very modern stuff. They've got commerce on each and every template automatically if you want it. In fact, even the $8 a month account has commerce, so you could set up a donation site for a nonprofit or a school. They have wonderful support. It's easy to use. You probably won't need it, but 24/7 support from their offices, a completely redesigned customer help site for easy access to self-help articles and video workshops. And you know what's great about Squarespace? They're always adding new stuff, like their mobile apps that are just gorgeous, a suite of apps like Blog, Metrics, Portfolio, and Note, which let you keep track of your site, get its metrics, post, moderate comments, and more. That's all at the squarespace.com site. I'm really, really proud to be associated with Squarespace. We use it for our Twit blog, and it's been so fantastic. So great. And the price, wow, $8 a month, plus you get a domain name when you sign up for a year. $16 a month for the Pro plan, which means unlimited bandwidth, unlimited storage, unlimited contributors. $24 for the Commerce. Now, Commerce isn't all of them, but if you want unlimited products, services, physical goods or digital goods, real-time carrier shipping, label printing, accounting, all built in, $24 a month. Plus, if you don't have to be a developer, but if you are a developer, you'll get that beautiful developer tools. They're just spectacular. Our Squarespace site is inside.twit.tv, but I want you to just check it out, squarespace.com. And if you do decide to buy, you don't need the offer code for trying it out for 2 weeks. You don't need anything, no credit card or anything. But if you decide to buy, use our offer code WINDOWS and you'll get 10% off. Squarespace.com. Paul is back. But I have to get the audio up.
I've never seen before.
What happened there? Yeah, something happened. You know what? I think the X-apocalypse has begun.
Yeah, I should probably get off XP then, huh?
No, that was a Windows 7 machine. It looks like it rebooted with you in it. It was back to the login screen.
It said I was on hold.
Oh.
I've never seen that little box.
All right.
Yeah.
Skype has announced it. The NAB show is going on right now, the National Association of Broadcasters. They announced a broadcast tool that we have, of course, immediately called them and said, can we get involved in that?
Okay.
Yeah, do you guys know anything about that?
TX,
Skype
right?
TX.
Skype TX.
TX, yeah.
Yeah.
Because
I guess now that
they
Palm's not
announced.
using that name, they can use it.
it's freed for anybody.
Yeah. Is it like a hardened version of Skype just specifically for broadcasters?
It's a hardware version. They bought a company called Cat and Mouse, which we were actually about to buy at Cat and Mouse. It's a $6,000 box, and Microsoft bought them. And so we're not sure, but we think that what they're going to do is take Cat and Mouse and turn it into, in fact, if you go to catandmouse.tv, their site, you now get Skype. Turn it into a hardware point-to-point solution for media. So, but we're very interested to see what they do. What's interesting is that Cat and Mouse was not a Skype, or maybe Skype was part of it, but it was a WebRTC solution as far as I knew.
Yeah, and the website they have with the examples show nothing about Skype TX. It's just how media has used Skype.
Well, that's the media thing, but then right next to it, they do have a Skype TX page, but it doesn't say
but this
much.
there's no information.
The hardware has been designed for use in a studio environment with call output in full-frame HD SDI formats, embedded or balanced audio. That's exactly what we want. But you know what it all comes down to? How does it work? How does the codec work on the public internet? Because that's when we have problems with Skype, it's the public internet. It's not you or me. It's what's in between. All right, moving right along. Glad we got you back, Paul. Did you want to say anything else about a new morning in Redmond?
I can't remember what I was talking about, so I guess not.
Well, let's bring up something else that
I think
you
that was most of
love
it.
talking about, which is, of course, Windows Phone 8.1.
Yeah. We actually can't talk about it too much. I'm not sure how this got in here, but
I put it in.
You don't have it. You wouldn't
I
know
put it
anything
in
about
there.
it. But if you
Right.
did and you
But
could,
if we
what would
did.
you say?
Yeah. So I actually put this in the notes because I think it's good to remind people where we are on the timeline for Windows Phone, because I got a lot of questions on that this week too. So we know that Microsoft has said that the developer bits for Windows Phone 8.1 are going to be out in the first half of April, which means to me by April 15th. And there have been rumors out there that it's the 14th. There have been rumors that it was the 10th. All we know is by the first half. So that's when the developer bits come out. And then there have been a couple of posts lately about whether and when Microsoft's also going to have future updates to Windows Phone 8.1, just like they did with Windows Phone 8. Remember, with Windows Phone 8, they had 3 updates that were called GDR, General Distribution Releases. And the rumor is there'll be at least 2 of those for Windows Phone 8.1 in calendar 2014. So, we've heard bits and pieces about this. Like there may be some gesture kinds of capabilities for Windows Phone as part of this. There may be some Nokia specific parts of this. It's all just rumor at this point. We don't know for sure. But what I'm very interested in is whether Windows 8.1 and Windows Phone 8.1 are going to start syncing up in terms of when you get these updates.
No.
Because right now there's been a lag, right? Like Windows 8 does its own thing, Windows Phone does its own thing, but now they're all under one operating system group. It'd be kind of cool if they were coming together in terms of, hey, here's the next update for Windows 8, and here's the next update for Windows Phone 8.1. That would be kind of handy, I would think.
My gut tells me that's not going to happen.
I kind of think not too,
At
but
least.
it would be interesting. And maybe at least I think they'd be moving closer into alignment because, as we know, the blue update to Windows Phone, which is what Windows Phone 8.1 is, lagged by a number of months the actual release of Windows 8.1. I think those two things are going to start getting closer together.
The thing that would make the biggest difference in the world for Windows Phone would be if they got on the same monthly update schedule that Windows, Surface, Xbox, right, and all these other products are on. How amazing would it be, no matter how small, if Windows Phone got updates every month, right?
Yeah, right.
We consider it a big deal when Nokia delivers a firmware update, which they have. I'm not positive about this, but I want to say for at least 2 of the last 3 Windows Phone 8 updates, and possibly for all 3, there was an associated Lumia, like black and cyan is coming next, these firmware updates. This is Surface update almost every single month. How amazing would it be if Microsoft could start doing that for phone? That would just be an amazing reversal, I think, for the platform.
Yeah, the problem
I've
is
heard
always
nothing
the
about that.
carriers.
It's an interesting thought. Well,
No, I know.
Apple has bypassed the carriers
Yeah.
from day one. I guess Microsoft doesn't have that clout. Would people accept it, though? I mean, we're kind of used to the idea, well, once a month is better than what it used to be, which was whenever, sometimes often, your operating system would be updated. But would we accept our smartphones being updated monthly?
Listen, I don't care what kind of smartphone you have, Windows Phone, Android, iOS. The apps that you have installed in that phone are updated every single day.
Well, that's true.
Every day.
That's
Every
true.
day you already are getting updates on your phone. And when you think about it, those updates in many ways impact what you really do on a phone more than, the updates that the phone makers, that the wireless carriers are not allowing Microsoft to update, the bits that are built into the OS. I think the OS should be afforded the same consideration as the apps, the third-party apps that you install. Why would the built-in music app not be able to be updated when I can download
You're right.
whatever music app, Spotify, and it gets updated every day? Every
You're right.
day it gets updated.
Right. But you'd have to bypass the carriers.
I think we need to come to an understanding that this stuff's happening already on phones, and there's no reason to prevent it from happening to Core OS bits. An app like Spotify uses more data than anything built into the OS. I mean, what's the difference?
It'll be interesting to see if how that changes. That idea changes when businesses start getting more into Windows Phone too, right? Because now that Microsoft's adding these business features into Windows Phone with 8.1, like VPN and SMIME and all that, some businesses may give their employees phones that are more locked down, and they won't want things to churn that fast. So, it'll be hard to see how that impacts things.
Obviously, at a certain point, maturity sets in, and they don't have to update those things as much. But I think, apps. I mean, it's not hard to look at a change log for an app and say, yeah, okay, so they made a couple of cool little functional changes. Sometimes it's just about fixing bugs. Simple.
Yep.
From your mouth to Bud Seligman's ear, whoever it is.
To Mark Penn's.
Mark Penn's ear.
Brain.
No, I think you make an excellent point. And you're right. You answered my question. We are used to it.
We're doing it, whether you want it or not. I mean, pick up your Android phone. I guarantee you there's 18 things happen in the past 24 hours.
In fact,
guarantee it.
Office for iPad was just updated. It's only been out, a week or two, and already updates. And I expect more, and that's great.
Right. Office Mobile for Windows Phone, never updated.
Yeah.
It can't, because it's part of the OS.
Right.
Right.
It's
ridiculous.
a disadvantage. Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. That's a very good point. Speaking of Office
But
for
maybe
iPad,
that's going to change, right? That was kind of the hint
it's
at
just
Build,
a hope.
I
Just
thought.
expressing a hope. I mean, yes. I mean, certainly things are moving in the right direction. They got the same team is doing them all now. I do think it's interesting that all the other parts of Microsoft are updating things pretty regularly.
Yeah.
So, I guess we'll see.
Office for the iPad. A few more tidbits.
Yeah, so this was kind of cool. The Office for iPad engineering team took to Reddit to do an AMA this week, which was very uncharacteristic also of the Office team. And they talked about a few things that people found surprising. Now, the one that everybody wrote about that wasn't actually surprising was...
I see some smiles on Paul's side.
I leaned on my keyboard and it flipped up in the air and split into two pieces.
How did we miss that? How did we miss that?
No, we didn't get to see that on...
I have the keyboard that... I'm sorry to interrupt. It has a keyboard that magnetically connects to itself. So after it landed back on the desk, it actually slapped back into shape. So it actually separated and then, reattached.
Yeah.
So it was a magic trick.
It was.
I'll just not touch the keyboard while you talk.
Don't touch that keyboard.
Hands off the rot.
Yeah. So the thing everybody wrote about from this Reddit was, guess what? Guess who approved the iPad version of Office coming out first? It was Steve Ballmer, not Satya Nadella, which we've been telling everybody.
That's cool.
We've been telling everybody on this podcast that for a while. Yeah. What else did they cover? They said they did not use Xamarin to build the app, which some people thought they had, that it was actually a native app. I like this one. Did your work on the iPad version delay Mac Office? They said no, but they also said they can't tell us when that's coming.
Code sharing, though, right? Which I think is maybe the big news from this, that these things are co-developed.
Right. So Office for iPad and Office for Mac are being developed from the same core.
That's what takes a while, by the way, is that what you do is you back off, you start from scratch, and you write the tools that are going to let you do that, and the libraries and all of that stuff, and that's a year. Then you can get to work on the actual app.
Mm-hmm.
So that explains a lot.
Yeah, it does, actually. It explains why we haven't got a new Office for Mac yet and why we haven't seen Office for iPad till now. That does explain a lot. They got asked about when are you going to add printing. They said, yeah, we know it. We need to. It's coming in its due course. That's all they would say on that. Office for Android tablets. Yep, that's coming too. They just kind of said, yeah, we're going to do a lot of updates and we're going to listen to what you guys want and we're going to put that into the update. A few people asked, will there be any chance that we could get a version of Office for iPad that has more functionality but does not require Office 365? The answer, no, of course. Yeah. So yeah, it was worthwhile. It was a good Reddit. I thought they did a good job.
And we saw a picture of what looked like an Apple store, but in fact is the lab.
Yeah, that's cool.
Where they have the iPads. Look at that.
Yep.
That's a lot of iPads.
It is. On Microsoft campus. Who knew, right?
Yeah. That's pretty cool. It looks like the Apple store. It's pretty cool. Yeah. I love Ask Me Anythings People, for some reason, they're just more candid. They know they can't be, too cagey on those things. They'll get just ripped apart.
Oh, they'll get torn apart. Yeah, they'll get torn apart. Yeah.
So it's great. It's just great. I love it when they do those. And that's their second one, I'm told. They did one earlier.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
The Office iPad team did,
I think so. Yeah. Let me look back here. They did. Ian says they did one in July.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's the OneNote team. Sorry.
Okay.
Nope.
Yeah.
Pardon me.
Nope, that's all right. It's probably still the related team though, because it seems like everybody who's working on Office for Mac or Office for iPad are together.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I love those. Reddit. We're developing a show, a Reddit show.
Oh, really? Wow.
We're going to call it Reddit Nation. We'll sit there, we'll drink beers, and we'll read stories from Reddit. It'll be great.
Nice.
No, we are actually working on one because I just feel like Reddit is so cool.
Yeah.
We've had Alexis Ohanian, one of the founders, on twice. We've had the other guy on once, and I just feel a real kinship with them. And now that I don't have to protect Dig anymore, I can go all in on Reddit. Well, Kevin, I didn't want to upset Kevin.
Oh, yeah. And we should mention the Gemini apps because a lot of people are asking. So that's the touch first version of Word, Excel, and PowerPoint that Microsoft's doing for Windows. That's similar to the iPad version they just did. And I just keep hearing it's probably coming this fall, but no other information beyond that. Or if there'll be a public beta, we don't really know. Still coming this year, though. We're just going to have to wait, us Windows users.
Which I think I added this to the notes. I mean, it kind of explains why they didn't wait on the iPad version. This thing probably won't ship until the fall, the Windows version. I mean, imagine making this piece of software, which you've all seen now, and it works great. It looks great. Imagine sitting on that thing for another 6 months,
Yeah, right.
Yeah, stupid. So they did the right thing.
Yes. In fact, speaking of right things, open sourcing a little bit of .NET, that's pretty cool. And apparently that's maybe not even the end.
I know.
Wow.
This was crazy, right? So we talked about this on the show last week. We said, that was one of the biggest announcements at Build, that Microsoft's open sourcing more of .NET. They're actually open sourcing the Roslyn compiler as a service work they're doing. I had a chance to talk to Soma Sagar, who runs the developer division at Microsoft. And I asked him, are you ever going to actually open source the core of .NET, which is like the common language runtime and the base class libraries? And he did not shut the door on that idea. He said, if there's a reason the community shows us there's a need and it's good for us and good for them, we might do it. Which if you think about Microsoft even, I don't know, a year or two ago, that just never, ever would have been a possibility. It was part of the crown jewels of Windows. .NET's seen as part of that whole thing. And if you had said to me, would they ever open source it? No.
Now, if you tell me that was Steve Ballmer's idea, I'm just going to laugh in your face.
Okay, it was.
What?
Oh, I almost did the keyboard again.
Really?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yep. Yeah, I asked Soma about that as well. And he said, everyone thinks it was Satya just saying, let's flip the switch. He did give it the final approval, but this work to open source .NET started 3 years ago, he said.
Wow. That, 3 years ago, they started cleaning up the comments in the code.
Yeah.
That probably took a while.
Yeah, probably did.
That's, that really, I think, is more of a barrier than people realize to open sourcing anything, is that you never write your code with the idea that the public might see it. And so you put in jokes in, and maybe your code isn't as clean as it could be. And I imagine at Microsoft, because they have a lot of code review and stuff, they probably do have clean code. But still, I think I know a lot of people who've told me, I will never open source my code. I don't want anybody to see that.
There's a guy who's examining the source code from that first version of Word for Windows. And he's uncovered a bunch of stuff. I mean, including some kind of neat technical feats that they did to improve performance and all that kind of stuff. I mean, this kind of stuff is fascinating.
I agree. Bill Gates was always very proud of the technical stuff he did in BASIC to get it in smaller space. And Woz was always so proud of how few chips his drive controller used. And if you can share that with the world, it makes them, it's good.
Right.
It's really good. Bill, I think, had shared out code snippets. I remember a book called, it was from the Microsoft Press, called Programmers at Work.
Yep,
and he talked about that. It's a great book. I think it's out of print. It's such a good book.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Simone's in there. A bunch
Yeah,
of other
Simone.
guys.
They talk about his naming conventions.
Yep.
What a great book. If you're a programmer or even an aspiring
look
programmer.
for that. Yeah.
It's got source code. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's neat. Yeah.
Gates says, I was very proud of this, and look what I did here. So cool. Just like that, he says that.
He
I'm
literally
laughing at your image.
literally sounded exactly like a villain from an Austin Powers movie there. Cut me a frickin' bone. Sorry.
Outer Curve.
Yeah.
What
I
is
just threw
that?
this in as
I never heard of that.
I heard about this. This is interesting.
Yeah. So, when Microsoft announced last week that they were open sourcing parts of .NET, they created a whole new foundation to do it. That's called the .NET Foundation. But, they already had started a foundation to handle open source projects from them and others, and it's called the Outer Curve Foundation. And I was kind of curious why they didn't just use Outer Curve for the open sourcing of .NET. And I'm still not exactly sure 100% why, but according to a note that went up on the Outer Curve blog, it seems like there might be a little tension.
They don't seem too happy.
Yeah.
A
So
little
I don't know what
bit,
that means.
just if I read between the lines, just a little
Kind
bit
of.
peaked.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah,
they say, it's a big open world out there. And we're looking forward to helping it continue to grow alongside our partner foundations. Yeah.
I think it says they're moving beyond .NET is how they word it.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I guess we'll find another thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think the .NET open sourcing is really interesting. Miguel Diaz-Caza even tweeted today and wrote a blog post saying, we're going to try to get Roslyn to work on Unix. I mean, that's like where this is going to start going now, right? Microsoft Technologies, developer technologies hosted on top of Unix.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wowie,
Whole new world. Whole new
Wowie,
world.
wowie, zowie.
Yep.
It's a whole new world. And chat room's been all excited because the Chinese Ministry of Commerce has said, yeah, okay, I guess you and Nokia can merge. Okay.
They struck a hard bargain, Leo. They got Microsoft to agree to license their patent essentials patents, or standards essential patents, exactly as they do everywhere else in the world. So that's a good thing they made us wait 30 days for that. So it was just like basically what they already do, but whatever.
Yeah.
Were they not doing it in China?
No,
They do it everywhere. There's no whatever. I think the supposed fear from Samsung and some of the Chinese-based Android phone makers was that Microsoft would use this as a lever to, sue them for patent violations and so forth, or charge them more for these kind of standards essentials patents.
These France patents, everybody should stick along. You know what? That's not an unfair thing for them to say. We just want this in writing. We know you're doing it, but we want a commitment. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
We've
they
seen
got
how
it.
ugly it can get.
Yeah. Microsoft turned this into a little PR moment. If you look for the number 200 in there, you will see that this agreement basically suggests that the Chinese government has agreed that there are, in fact, 200 patents in Android that need to be protected because they're owned by Microsoft.
Oh, that's huge.
That is.
Microsoft's patents are, they're basically saying are good.
Yeah. I thought that was
it says Microsoft holds approximately 200 patent families that are necessary to build an Android smartphone.
But you got to highlight the beginning part of that because it says the Chinese Ministry of Commerce concluded after an investigation that Microsoft holds approximately 200 patents necessary to build it.
That is golden. You take that to any court in the world and you say, look, Mofo says it's okay.
Yep. No, not just
I'd get a better name if I were you than mofo.com, but okay.
Be built without these 200 patents. That's classic.
No. Yeah. I think that maybe Microsoft, Mark Penn said, hey, here's a sentence. I'm going to write this on a notepad.
Yeah. Did they actually say this? Oh, really? Oh, good. Let's put that in the press release. That's hilarious.
Seriously, this kind of stuff is very valuable because often in patent lawsuits, you're going to juries, at least in the United States. This carries weight. The jury goes, well, the Chinese government even says these are good patents. That just adds to the value.
I find that line to be amazing.
Yeah, me too.
Well, if Mofo says it's okay, I'm all right with it.
Mofo. Yes, they're commonly known in the regulatory world.
We don't know. There's maybe still some final things to be done before the transaction's deemed as being complete. But they've said that this is going to happen in April. So it looks
every
like
morning I wake up now and expect this to happen.
Me too.
Now that this has happened, this is the last step, I believe. I mean, the last major regulatory hurdle.
I mean, there's still some things happening.
Well, this is the
India
thing, right? The India tax issue.
India tax issue around factory taxes in Chennai, I think. But other than that,
I mean, that's like a month of mouse profits for Microsoft. So they can make that go.
It's Nokia being in dispute, I guess, and they've said, Microsoft and Nokia both said this isn't going to hold up the actual transaction from happening. So.
Right.
It's almost time.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
A number of people in chat are wondering, probably a lot of you at home, why I'm wearing a black armband.
I guess it's because you can't get it off.
That's exactly right.
Actually, there's a construction crew coming over to remove it.
And I've lost all feeling in my left hand.
Yep, you've got like a stilted little left arm.
No, it was a joke because of the end of XP. That's all. It's the end of XP. It could have been for Ultimate Warrior, but it was also.
I'll wear one of those to basketball tonight. I could put like they do when someone associated with the team.
Yeah, put the number on there. Yeah.
Yeah, put like
XP. Yeah.
Say XP.
I could do that. Just need a silver Sharpie here. Sure, I have one.
Maybe it's time for an XP tattoo. XP forever.
Alex Gumpel, you got to get that. Alex, I want you to get an XP forever. EVAH.
But it has to be, Alex. It has to be in the small of your back.
A little tramp stamp.
Just a
little tramp stamp. XP for life.
Yeah.
I think you should have some of those bliss hills behind it.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Love it.
Just a thought.
Love it. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we will learn how to disable the shutdown button. That's excitement.
I know.
Hey, listen, Leo.
Yes. Yes, Paul.
I know.
I'm champing at the bit, Paul.
Are you?
Yeah. Well, actually, it's a sandwich.
Because I'm going to recite a registry hive.
Whoa.
So.
Registry hive alert.
Get your OneNote ready.
Fire up the OneNote.
It's coming.
Fire up Notepad.
Yep.
And we got an enterprise pick code name. And yes, there will be beer. I got in a little trouble for not drinking all the beer that was placed in front of me last week, by the way. I said,
Leo.
Liz, if I drank all of that, I'd be on the floor.
Yeah, you'd be in a hospital still.
Yeah.
She said, some serious beer.
It was very expensive. I said, well, I bought it. It's okay. It wasn't your money. I'll drink it eventually. I'm not sure I want the, what was it, raspberry beer? I don't know.
Oh, the
Creek.
Yeah,
that was
the
that's
lambic.
good.
I like the Creek a little bit.
I have a peach version of that.
Yeah, we'll save it for Steve Gibson when he comes visit.
Oh, right.
He liked it. Our show today brought to you by Carbonite. Actually, if you are upgrading from one version of Windows to another, or you're getting a new machine, Carbonite's a great solution because it you got all your data already backed up. So all you do is you get the new machine up and running and log into your Carbonite account, say restore, you're done. You get all your data back. You see, with Carbonite, your data is always safe. It's up there in the cloud, where it's safe as houses. You can encrypt it so that nobody, not even Carbonite, can read it. It's, of course, safe in transition. Carbonite has updated their SSL servers. Of course they have. I don't even know if did they use OpenSSL? I'll have to check, but I know they've updated their servers if they have. Carbonite has pays a great deal of attention to protecting you and protecting your data. That's why you want to trust them and get your backups done there. If you're a business, you're getting Joey in the stockroom to do the backup, not such a good idea. Carbonite's automatic. Once you install it on your system, automatic, continuous. Whenever you're online, it's backing up, and it's safe. It's up there. You can even, see your files. You go to your Carbonite account on any computer. There's your stuff. You can download any file or all of them. You can email any file or all of them. Carbonite also has free smartphone and tablet apps too. It's really convenient. I want you to try it today. The flat rate pricing, What you pay once a year for everything on a computer or a network on servers. Well, as an example, $59.99 a year for everything on one Mac or PC. It's less than $5 a month. Start your free trial today. Just go to carbonite.com. You don't need a credit card, just the word Windows. And I tell you, you want to use the word Windows because if you do, when you sign up for purchase after that 2-week trial, you'll get 2 free months with purchase. You got to back it up to get it back, so do it right. Join the 50,000 businesses who use carbonite.com for their backup solution. Windows Weekly is on the air. Paul Thurrott, Mary Jo Foley. We're talking about Windows. We're going to kick the back of the book off with a tip of the week from Mr. T.
I have 2 tips this week instead of a pick.
All right.
Which is like a Seinfeld episode, I guess. It was a tip.
Not a pick.
So the first tip is probably going to be the first in a series of tips like this. One of the things I've been discovering about Update 1 is that there are a lot of features now in Windows that you can, well, there have always been, obviously, features you can kind of trigger on and off through the registry. But there are new Update 1 features that fall into this category. And there are actually some features that are not exposed in Update 1 that I think I've been running into where you can make registry changes and disable, enable things. And so this is the first of what I think will be a series of these. But in keeping with our there's nothing too small that everyone can't complain about theory, some people don't like that there's a power button on the start menu, on the start screen in Windows 8.1 with Update 1. And if you do get that button, you can click on it. Little menu pops down, so it's got sleep, shut down, and restart on there. And some people, they don't want that there. So there's a registry key that you can find and add a DWORD value to it, and you can remove that if you want to get rid of it. And so it's in a very familiar spot, at least the beginning of it. So it's the H key current user /software/Microsoft/Windows /current version, all one word, and then immersive shell, which gives you some insight into the real name of the stuff under the covers, and then /launcher. And I'll have this in the show notes when I post these tomorrow on my website. But if you create a DWORD value there called launcher _ show power button on start screen, pretty obvious, set that to 0, and that power button goes away. So you can get rid of that if that's what you want. I don't know, some people seem to want this stuff.
You can't get rid of search, though, right?
I don't know yet. Yeah, I haven't tried that one yet, but don't be surprised if show search button on start screen set to 0 has a similar effect. We'll see.
Can you change the colors too that way?
Don't get crazy.
Okay, I'm lost my head. Go right ahead.
Yeah, actually, there's on a related note, there's some features now that will be syncing between Windows Phone 8.1 and Windows Phone. So you get things like open IE tabs, save IE passwords, things like that. But if you have a Windows Phone 8.1 handset and you change the color scheme, it will sync back to your Windows PCs. And so if you change the tiles to red, you'll get a red color scheme on your Windows PCs as well, which I discovered much to my consternation. But more about that later when Windows Phone 8.1 is more readily available. Speaking of which, the second tip is the same tip from Update 3 will work for Windows Phone 8.1. And so if you have any Windows Phone 8 handset today that is running at least Update 2, actually, Mary Jo, I should tell you I asked, and it's
Okay,
Update
you
2.
did.
Yep.
Nice.
It got right back to me, by the way.
Wow.
You can join the Windows Phone Developer Program, which is free. Go to the App Hub website. Just sign in. All you have to do is sign in with the same Microsoft account that you sign into your phone with. You can download an app that sits on your phone, and that will cause beta versions. This is not a beta, but pre-release versions of Windows Phone updates to appear on your phone. And so whenever Windows Phone 8.1 is released sometime this month, you'll be able to check for updates and get Windows Phone 8.1 on your Windows Phone 8 handset. And that's any Windows Phone handset that today is running Windows Phone 8 with at least Update 2 will be able to get this update. And I've got the instructions for that on my website, so you can check out the whole rigmarole there.
Excellent.
Someday soon.
Excellent, Smithers.
And now for our enterprise pick of the week, let me bring in Mary Jo Foley, or Dame Mary Jo Foley, as we call her.
Oh,
yes.
nice. I like that.
Yes, Dame. Yes, Dame Foley.
think I have to go with that from now on. My enterprise pick of the week is it's a mouthful, like many enterprise products at Microsoft. Microsoft Virtual Machine Converter 2.0, also known as MVMC 2.0. What this is it's a free tool for people who want to convert their VMware-based virtual machines and virtual disks to Hyper-V virtual machines and virtual hard disks. And this is something Microsoft partners probably would be interested in, some Microsoft customers too. It's a way that you can say to people who are already on VMware solutions, hey, you know what? You can just convert that right over to Hyper-V and Windows Server. Very easy. So this is the second version of this tool. It adds some additional support for vCenter and ESXi 5.5. It does on-prem VM to Azure VM conversions. And what's even more interesting is Microsoft is announcing that there's going to be a third version of this tool coming this fall that's going to provide physical to virtual machine conversion for supported versions of Windows. So this could be kind of handy if you're somebody who either is kind of dabbling with, hey, could I switch over to more Windows solutions, or a partner who just wants to see, hey, we could show our users they could do this and it's not going to be a big pain. If you want to get the links and more information about this, do a search for Microsoft Server and Cloud blog. Their April 8th entry has lots more details, and it also has a download link there for this. That's my pick.
All right. Now, codename. Pick of the week.
Yeah.
Shh.
The
codename is...
Codename pick this week is Project N, like Nancy. We have to whisper. You know what was cool, though, Leo? In the studio last week, one of the people who came up as a guest to come to the show was somebody who worked on Project N.
Oh, cool.
He worked at Microsoft. Yeah. He said, hey, I knew you were trying to crack what Project N was forever. And at Build, Microsoft finally announced what it was.
Oh, that's so cool.
I know. It was very cool. So Project N turned out to be what Microsoft's calling the .NET Native compiler. And they released a first developer preview of this last week. So what this does is it compiles C# to native machine code that performs like C++. And so what that means is if you have a Windows Store or Metro style app, whatever you want to call it, and you use this compiler, it's going to let your app start up to 60% faster right from the get-go and use 15 to 20% less memory, according to what Microsoft's telling people. They're going to have various versions of this. They've got a version for ARM and x64 out already, and they're doing an x86 one as well. They're not saying when the final version will be out, but it's something they've used internally themselves to build things like FreshPaint for the Windows Store version of FreshPaint. So I think if you're somebody who has Windows Store apps or thinking about building them and you want to get the best performance possible out of them, you might want to check out Project N.
Cool. Yep. And finally, our beer pick of the week.
Yes. So after all those big beers we had on the show last week, delicious, but very hoppy and very high alcohol, we're going to go with something light because it's almost summer, right? So I made my beer pick the Bell's Oberon beer. This is one of the flagship beers from Bell's Brewing. It's a summer wheat beer. It's starting to hit different markets in bottles and on tap. It was here on tap in New York recently. And I don't know if you all know this, but it was National Beer Day on April 7th this week. And so,
damn, I slept through it.
In honor of National Beer Day, it might be fun to find an Oberon if you can and check it out. It's good. I think even Paul Thurrott would like this.
Wow,
one.
even Paul.
Paul, the notorious beer hater.
Yeah.
Well, he's a beer lover.
I drink a lot of beer.
Hates hops.
I love the shoof I was drinking last week. That was delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
one
good,
of the best.
right? Yeah.
Do love that.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate the broadening of my beer belly.
Yes.
Thanks to
Mine
Mary
too.
Jo and Paul.
It's all valuable experience, Leo.
It is.
Paul and Mary Jo do this show every Wednesday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1800 UTC on twit.tv. Watch live or you'll miss all the fun. Actually, you won't. You can get on-demand versions as well after the fact, audio and video. And that is at twit.tv/WW or wherever, fine netcasts are aggregated for distribution later to the podcatcher of your choice. Paul is at the Supersite for Windows, winsupersite.com. Mary Jo is at ZDNet, allaboutmicrosoft.com. And they're both just fine people. Excellent, excellent folk.
We come from good stock.
They come from hearty stock. Thank you, guys. As always, wonderful. I do wish you were back in studio, and if you ever want to move to Petaluma, we'll keep a little...
Mary Jo and I are both recovering massaholics.
We are.
Or massholes, I guess.
Massholes. You got to move. I got a dog bed in the basement with your name on it. No, wait a minute.
Excellent.
That doesn't sound right. All right, guys. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time on Windows Weekly.